everyone, welcome to VGS Astro. Today I'm going to be talking about a very nice topic called the planetary state based on Dasha. And this is not the standard avastas that many people might already be aware of. This is going to reveal the additional character of the Dasha Lord, especially in cases where there's a contradiction or different elements involved. Let's say, for example, you might have a planet which is in 0 degrees, which is usually termed weak, but it may also be a Pushkaramsha, but at the same time it may be in the Mrityu Avasta. So these are things that make it difficult for some people to judge what the dasha is going to be like, and this technique is going to reveal that additional character of the dasha, which is going to apply for the entire dasha period, and this is going to be of immense help if you do not know whether it's going to be a positive phase of your life or a negative one. And altogether we have 27 states, and I have tested this in almost about 130 charts, near about 130 charts, and it's proved to be right in almost all the cases. So before we get to the different states of the planets, I want to reveal the formula on how to go about calculating. This is not rocket science, it's very simple. The calculation is very simple, so please pay attention. All you got to do is count the number of signs from Aries to ascendant, and then you're going to count the number of signs from ascendant to the Dasha Lord, and then you're going to add the two and multiply the sum by twice the number of years allotted to the Dasha Lord. Then you're going to divide the product by 27 and use the remainder. Remember, we are going to consider the remainder, not the quotient, and I'm going to illustrate this through an example. So in this illustration we have the chart of a native who was born with his ascendant in the Libra sign, and he's got Venus in the Gemini sign. So when we apply this technique, we're going to start counting from Aries to Libra, which is 7 places away, and we jot down 7, and from the ascendant to Venus, which is in the Gemini sign, and which is 9 places away, so we jot down 9, and when we add the 2 and multiply by twice the number of years allotted to the Dasha Lord. So in the case of Venus it is 40, and in the case of Sun it could be 12, in case of Mars and Ketu it's 14 years, and so on and so forth. So when you add and multiply, we get the product as 640, and you can divide this product by the number 27 to arrive at the remainder, not the quotient. And if you're having difficulty in working out, you can always visit this website to find out the remainder, and I'm going to reveal the result in a second. Just give me a minute. So I've divided the states into 6 decks, each with 5 states, and I'm going to mull over each and every one of these states. Don't worry about it. I will show you all the 27 states, and I will give you time to note down or pause the video and look again. But let's concentrate on this illustration. And here the reminder is 19, and state number 19 says that the person is going to be secretive in nature. He could be a sweet talker. He could be also seen to be somewhat lazy or laid back. And when I asked this person, he told me that he was given to intoxication at a very early age, and he could not reveal this secret to anybody, not to his family members, not to his relatives, not to his workplace colleagues, not even to his wife and children. So nobody actually knew that he had a bad eating habit, and that went on for the entire dasha, and he could only break that habit during the sun dasha. And for this native, we have sun in the 10th house in the Cancer sign, and I'm gonna let you do the calculation yourself for sun, and I will just take you through the deck and show you the actual reminder that you would get for sun. And for sun, it's actually number 15, or yeah, it's number 15. And during the sun dasha, the native, though it's the 11th lord, he had multiple sources of income. He always felt that he didn't have sufficient amount of money. He did not have enough when compared with so many others. So he felt envious of everybody around him, and he couldn't really enjoy the dasha itself. Though he had a lot of money, though he had a comfortable life, he was given to pangs of envy and also felt somewhat inadequate in comparison with so many others. And a peculiar feature of this dasha for the native was that he was given to a lot of anger buzz, which he had never encountered during his 20 years of Venus Dasha. And this was very clear from the very beginning of the Dasha itself. Okay, and he told me that, right from the Sun Dasha till the end, he had anger issues and he had a tough time cooling himself down to calm down and relax and let go of things. And now I'm going to run you through all the states one by one, or I'm going to give you a brief introduction to what these states are like. So states 1 to 4 are actually giving pretty good results, as you can see from this deck, except for state number 5, where the person is going to be a bit distressed because there's trouble indicated from the government. There's going to be some loss of money. So the planet itself is involved in a kind of chanting. It's seeking the help of a higher power. So if you're running through number 5, there could be some distress during this dasha period, and it's advisable that you make use of this time to become a bit spiritual or turn towards spirituality to mitigate whatever difficulties you may be facing. Okay, and the next deck is from state 6 to state 10. Here you can see that state number 7 is where there is some kind of a susceptibility to heart disease, but this is where this dasha is going to be helpful in listening to educational discourses or giving educational discourses, lecturing, or becoming a professor. But you could also additionally face complaints of the liver, because the planet itself is performing a yagna, which is a sacrifice, which is offering something in the sacrificial pit, and there are certain protocols that are associated with yagnas. Usually the person is supposed to be fasting, and there is a protocol on what you should be eating a week before the yagna itself. So not following the right diet, or not eating the right things at the right time, or having the wrong food can be the reason for the heart disease or the complaints of the liver itself. So you got to watch out your diet throughout this dasha if you're going through the dasha where the state itself falls under number 7. And number 9 is where the person could be very pleasing in nature. He could gain a lot of vehicles, but he's also going to be somewhat deceitful in nature, which means he's going to do things with an ulterior motive in mind. Okay, and number 10 is called Giri Pradakshina, which means circumambulating the hill. So in some of the cultures in India, circumambulating the hill is considered as an act of worship, or also an act of atonement of your sins. So circumambulating the hill is considered to be a remedy for the problems indicated in this deck. And if you're having fever complaints or some disease of the spleen, or you're having trouble from government, it's very important that you actually try to circumambulate a hill, which is viewed as a deity in some of the cultures in India. So if you look at South India, there's a place called Tiruvannamalai where countless devotees actually circumambulate the hill, considering the hill itself as a deity. And this is certainly going to bring a lot of relief if you happen to be under state number 10. So states number 11 to 15, we can see that 11 and 12 is giving very good results, except for number 13, 14, and 15, which are mostly mental states. They're not something very difficult to overcome. If you have anger issues, then you might turn to meditation to uh, help find peace and maybe relax yourself. But it's not something very difficult to overcome if you find your source of happiness and work towards it. The dasha cannot be very difficult for you. So let's move on to the next deck. We see that number 16, 17, and 18, they're all very good. They're giving good results. 19 is okay. And number 20 is where, I saw this in a person's chart who was in his late 70s or late 80s. And he was someone who was very good with the Shastras, especially the Vedas and the Upanishads, but he could be, by standard reckoning, be considered as someone who is ignorant of the emerging technologies, of the present technologies, especially the use of cell phones or the use of computers. He wasn't very well versed in all of those areas of life, and he was also not very keen on learning these things. And that is the kind of state the planet was in. And if you're under planet number 20, you're going to have to work towards whatever that could motivate you to learn new things. If you don't have the inclination to learn new things, you could fall behind the rest of the world. So it's important that you find your way back during this dasha. And let's move on to the next deck. Here we have stage number 21 to 25, and I can see that 21 is not very good. 22 is also giving very bad results. 23 is good. 24 is also very good, except for 21, 22, and 25, especially 25. And I saw this in the chart of a very senior bureaucrat who was actually on in the verge of retiring. I'm sorry, he had already retired from service, and at the very beginning of the dasha, he retired from service, and and he had gained a lot of respect because of his status, because of his rank, and he was feeling very unhappy that he was not able to command anybody, and that was the kind of life he was leading. And he told me that he was almost going through a withdrawal symptom, and he wanted to get back to his job, but there was no way to go back to the same job. He also had a very unceremonious exit in his office after his retirement or on the retirement day. So this is more like a karmic repercussion rather than something that just happened out of the blue. This is okay if you're in the verge of retirement or something like that, but when this is going to be happening to you in your early 20s or in your late 30s, then you have to take the necessary precaution, because this period, it could be viewed as something very painful. Okay, and the next deck we have 26 and 27. 26 especially is giving very bad result: tamasic, rheumatism, depression, liver disease, opposed by or opposing the government or its leaders. And the only remedy that I can suggest these people is to come to terms with reality itself, to accept and embrace the change, instead of blaming people or blaming the government or its leaders. It's just what it is, and you've got to find a way to move on with your life. And that's all for today. This is just my 2 pence on the states of the planet. And do not take the literal meaning of these effects. It's advisable you interpret them based on Desh, Kal, and Patra. If someone's going through state number 23 and he's in his young age of maybe in his teenage period, then you cannot say that he's going to have a happy wife and children and revered by government or leaders. That could happen, but maybe not with wife and children. So you're going to apply that based on the age of the person that you're looking at, the kind of um, country the person is born in, and also the upbringing that the person has had. And that's all for today, guys, and I will see you again with another new video. Please leave a comment below if you found this useful, and also tell me whether this actually works in your chart. Remember, you're going to have to use Vimshottari Dasha system. If you're going to use some other nakshatra based planetary dasha system and use this technique, then it might not work. Okay, and thank you very much, guys. I will see you again very soon with another new video, and it's bye bye for now.